On January 4th, 46 BC, near the African port of Ruspina, Julius Caesar was not advancing toward glory. He was 3 miles from his fortified camp, searching for grain, with an army too small for the danger it was about to face. Caesar had roughly 30 understrength cohorts with him, perhaps 4,000 infantry in all, supported by about 150 archers and 400 cavalry. It was enough for foraging. It was not enough for the trap waiting in the open country ahead. The enemy commander was Titus Labienus, and that made the danger worse. Labienus had once been Caesar's own chief lieutenant in the Gallic Wars. He knew Caesar's habits. He knew his instincts. He knew how he handled pressure. Now, Labienus was fighting for the Optimates, the Republican senatorial faction determined to destroy Caesar. This was not just another enemy general on foreign ground. This was a former insider, standing on the other side of a civil war. Labienus had brought a force built for speed and harassment. 8,000 Numidian cavalry, 1,600 Gallic and Germanic horsemen, and swarms of light infantry. It was not the kind of army Roman legionaries preferred to fight. At first, the enemy formation seemed almost conventional. Labienus arranged his troops in a compact shape, making it appear as if Caesar was facing a normal battle line. Caesar looked at the field and prepared for the kind of engagement his legions knew. Caesar formed a single line. His archers moved forward. His cavalry divided between the wings. The Roman formation was orderly, controlled, and familiar. Then, the illusion collapsed. Labienus's cavalry swept quickly outward and around the Roman flanks. Caesar's horsemen were badly outnumbered. They could not hold the wings. This was where the real attack began. The Numidian light infantry moved close, threw javelins and sling stones into the Roman ranks, then ran back before the legionaries could reach them. The pattern repeated again and again. Advance, throw, withdraw. The Romans could see their attackers, but they could not force them into a real fight. Caesar's men answered with their pila, but the pilum was not made for this kind of battle. It was a close-range weapon, designed to break shields and shock an enemy line before contact. Against fast skirmishers who refused to stand still, it was almost useless. The Roman soldiers were being cut down without being allowed to fight the way they had been trained to fight. Panic began to spread. One standard-bearer tried to run. Caesar saw him, seized him, turned him around, and pointed him back toward the enemy. The enemy are over there. It was a sharp correction, but it did not solve the problem. Caesar was still surrounded. His cavalry was beaten back. His infantry was trapped in the open. Missiles were coming from every direction. With no better option, Caesar ordered the Orbis. The legionaries formed a hollow circle. Shields faced outward. Commanders and archers were sheltered inside. The men stood back to back, turning the army into a defensive ring. The Orbis was not a formation of confidence. It was a formation of last resort. It meant the army had lost freedom of movement. It meant the enemy controlled the field. From outside the circle, Numidian infantry and cavalry kept pressing the attack. They did not need to break the Romans all at once. They only needed to keep throwing, keep circling, and keep waiting. Then Labienus rode close enough to taunt the Roman troops. According to the Bellum Africum, the ancient account of the campaign, written by one of Caesar's own officers, a veteran of the 10th Legion, recognized him. Labienus was not just an enemy commander. He was a former commander of these men. The veteran stepped forward, raised his pilum, and hurled it straight into Labienus's horse. "That'll teach you, Labienus," the soldier growled, "that a soldier of the 10th is attacking you." It was a moment of defiance, but defiance alone would not open the circle. Caesar needed more than courage. He needed the shape of the battle to change. So Caesar did something strange. He ordered the line extended as far as possible. Then he gave the command that made the formation bizarre. Every other cohort was ordered to face about. The odd-numbered cohorts faced outward toward the original enemy. The even-numbered cohorts turned around to face the cavalry and infantry behind them. One Roman line now fought in two directions at the same time. It looked unnatural, it looked desperate, but it solved the problem Caesar needed solved. Labienus had trapped Caesar inside a circle. Caesar stretched that circle into a long, double-faced line. As the Roman formation extended, the enemy ring had to stretch with it. A circle is strong because pressure can move around it evenly. An elongated loop is different. It has weak ends. Its center cannot easily reinforce its edges. Caesar had found the weakness in the trap. The Roman wings pressed outward against those thinner points. His cavalry found gaps. The encirclement began to deform, then fracture. The army that had been trapped inside a defensive circle was moving again. Labienus's forces gave way. The encirclement broke. The Pompeian troops scattered, and for a moment it looked as if Caesar had escaped the worst danger of the day. But the battle was not finished. Marcus Petreius arrived with 1,600 fresh Numidian cavalry and more infantry. Caesar's men had already been battered. Now a new force was entering the field. Caesar reformed his line and counterattacked. In the fighting that followed, Petreius himself was wounded. The fresh Pompeian force was driven back, and at last both armies began to withdraw toward their camps. Caesar had survived, but survival had come at a heavy cost. He may have lost as much as a third of his men that day. Even for Caesar, Ruspina was not a clean victory. It was an escape from disaster. And he never made the same mistake again. After Ruspina, Caesar fortified his position obsessively. He strengthened his camp. He armed his sailors as light infantry. He brought in Syrian and Etrurian archers from the eastern provinces within reach of his fleet. He was rebuilding his army for a different kind of enemy. The lesson was simple. Roman legionaries could dominate a battlefield when the enemy stood and fought. But in North Africa, Caesar was facing cavalry, skirmishers, speed, distance, and refusal. The enemy would not play by Roman rules. So Caesar changed the army. The delay mattered. Ruspina stalled Caesar's advance for roughly 10 weeks. The campaign did not end on that field. It only changed direction. When the decisive engagement finally came at Thapsus in April, Caesar faced the combined Optimates army under Metellus Scipio, the overall Republican commander in Africa. This time, Caesar's army was better prepared for the conditions. His adapted forces overwhelmed the enemy so completely that his own officers could not stop the slaughter. 10,000 enemy soldiers were killed. King Juba committed suicide. Cato took his own life. Labienus escaped to Spain. The following year, at Munda, Caesar killed Labienus in the final brutal phase of the civil war. Ruspina remains one of the most understudied engagements of Caesar's military career. It is almost a ghost in the historical record, overshadowed by the larger battles around it. But Ruspina reveals something essential about Caesar. His greatest tactical innovation did not come from strength. It did not come from superior numbers. It came from being surrounded, outnumbered, and almost out of options. And in that moment, Caesar did not simply survive by courage. He survived by changing the shape of the battlefield.